Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be telling you all about my most anticipated books of 2022. It's finally that time and I wish I could have posted this earlier in December or at the start of January, but either way, I'm so excited for these books. So let's get into them. So the first book on the list is Fiona Jane by Gina Chen, which dropped on January 4th, 2022. And basically this book is about two queer young women who navigate life, navigate career, navigate sexuality, race, and all of that through a bunch of stories throughout the book. One of them ends up moving away from the other, and that puts a strain on their relationship. So we watch them navigate that throughout the book also. So I'm excited to get into this. This just sounds amazing. Oh my gosh, I love a good contemporary piece, especially when it has like queer main characters. And I read a lot of good books last year that had a similar structure to this one. So I'm excited to see what Gina Chen has to say, because this sounds like an amazing book already. So I'm excited to get into it. The next book is Weather Girl by Lynn Solomon, which is coming out on January 11th, 2022. And this book is about two employees who are trying to get their bosses together in order to make their life easier. But then that ends up not entirely backfiring, but it does backfire and they end up in a relationship together. And I like tropes like that. Unexpected love is one of those tropes that I like. So I'm excited to get into this book. I don't know if Lynn Solomon has the writing that I like when it comes to contemporary romance, but reading this, I then will find out if that's like, you know, an author I would like to read more from. So I'm excited to see what this is about because it does have a trope that I like. Okay, the next book is What the Fireflies Knew by Kai Harris, which is coming out on February 2nd, 2022. And literally this book is about a girl who loses everything in the start of her life and has to grow up with all of these challenges. And we watch her navigate her life and grow and become something strong after going through something so heavy and deep. So she loses a lot of people in the beginning of her life, and then as she grows older she learns to become strong again, and she finds these people who help her, you know, regain this strength. And it just sounds so beautiful, and it sounds like a good cry moment. So I'm excited to see what this author has to say and how this story is going to be told, because it sounds so heart-wrenching, so sad. So I wonder how Kai Harris is going to write this story and how our main character is going to grow. Okay, continuing on, the next book is Magical Boy Volume 1 by The Cow. This is coming out on February 1st, 2022. Yes, I know my list is backwards. Bear with me. So this graphic novel follows a transgender boy who is born into this family of magical girls. And coming out to his family was already hard, but now he has acquired the powers that are assigned to a girl of every generation. So now he has to navigate that and also come out to his family as a magical girl. So that sounds really interesting, and I'm excited to get into this story. I've seen a little snippet of the art for this graphic novel, and I love the art style. I think it was an article that I read, which is how I discovered this graphic novel, and the art was so cute, and I'm excited to get into this story. The next book on the list is All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir, which is coming out March 1st, 2022. I'm so excited for this book. If you do not know, I am such a big fan of Sabaa Tahir. After reading An Ember in the Ashes series, I have become such a fan. I've literally grown to love her writing style, and I follow her on Bookstagram, and I'm just so obsessed with her story and how she posts, and I just love her vibe, her energy, and that translates into her books. And so I'm very excited to see what All My Rage has to bring. So we follow a family who grew up in the desert, and we follow the young couple that later births the children who are in the present part of the storyline. So in the beginning, there's the parents, of course, and we watch like a little snippet of how their children came to be, and then we watch their children navigate life. And I think they have powers, so their powers, and then there's just a whole lot of unique things about this story, and it takes place in a desert. And I believe Sabaa Tahir said there's going to be some cultural representation in this book, so we'll probably get a little taste of the culture that takes place in that setting. So this just sounds very exciting, and I'm ready to get into this book. The next book is The Love of My Life by Rosie Walsh, which is also coming out on March 1st, 2022. And this book, I believe, sounds similar to Gone Girl, and I'm so excited to get into this. I am reading Gone Girl for the first time this year, and knowing that there's a similar book that I have on my anticipated list is just mind-blowing to me. So what a perfect time. So basically we follow this family who has grown to know this woman named Rosie Walsh, but that's probably not even her name, and these lies that she fed to her husband are probably not even true, and now her husband has to uncover all of her secrets and figure out who the hell is Rosie Walsh. In doing so, he finds out so many deep secrets, and it might cause a tether in his life, her life, and their marriage, and then in their family altogether. It just sounds like everything and anything, and I'm excited to get into it. This is insane, and I'm already hyped from the synopsis, so hopefully I can get my hands on it and read it. This cover, oh, I forgot to say this earlier, but What the Fireflies Knew also has a beautiful cover too. But yeah, also this cover has an amazing cover. Like, the art on this is insane, and I'm in love. So okay, the next book on the list is The League of Gentlemen Witches, which is by India Holton, which this is the follow-up book to the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. And this follow-up book is coming out March 15th, 2022. I'm excited to read the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, but I'm even more excited to read The League of Gentlemen Witches because we follow Charlotte Pettifer, who is a witch, and she and other witches within the society use their powers for good, to tidy things and keep the earth clean, you know, keep nature in balance. But then she meets this guy named Alex O'Reilly as they try to get this amulet to save the world, and they end up falling in love, enemies to lover situation. It just sounds really interesting. In this synopsis on Goodreads, it says that they describe him as a pirate who is no Mr. Darcy, and if that is a Pride and Prejudice reference, material girl. I'm kind of hype. I love a good Pride and Prejudice reference, because if you guys did not know, I'm a big Pride and Prejudice like stan, and yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to get into this book. It sounds very interesting. I love a good enemies to lovers moment. I've already said this many times, I believe last year while I was doing a lot of my TBR videos, but I really love enemies to lovers. It's just such a good trope in romance books. So I'm excited to get into The League of Gentlemen Witches, but also start with the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. Moving on. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akawaeke Emezi is coming out March 24th, 2022. And basically we follow this woman who has gone through a hardship with love, and her friend sets her up to go to this island where she then finds a way to fall in love again, but that also comes with some hardships. But still, she would do anything to make this love prevail because she has fallen deeply in love with this person that she has found on this island. And so we watch them power through that and her navigate falling in love again, and that just sounds so beautiful. I'm excited to get into this book. Akawaeke Emezi has a way of writing very lyrical, vivid, and gorgeous pieces, because literally Freshwater was so vivid, so deep, so amazing, and I'm excited to read another piece by this author. So honestly, I'm very, very excited for this. I have a prediction that this is going to be a 5 out of 5 star read, and hopefully I'm not like overdoing it, but I'm praying that this is a 5 out of 5. I mean, I think I gave Freshwater a 4 out of 5, but that's only because it got wordy at certain points. But because this is a different genre for this author, I wonder if the writing style will be different. Either way, I'm excited. And then this is also another cover that I have fallen in love with. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous cover. There's like 2 covers I've seen and they're both gorgeous, but I'm deeply in love with the orange one. That one is gorgeous. The next book is The Merciless Ones by Namina Forna, which is coming out April 5th, 2022. So in this book, we continue to follow our main character, Dika. I don't know which one it is. And basically, now that she has unleashed all of the goddesses, there is now a new threat to the kingdom. There's even these new things that guards and official people are wearing on their armor, and it's keeping her from communicating with her kind and those death streaks that are in the kingdom. And so now that she has no communication to these people and these death streaks, she wants to figure out why and what those things are on that armor. So now we're going to follow her on that journey as she uncovers what's going on in the kingdom post goddess release. Sounds very interesting. I will say that I probably did overhype the first book, because after letting it simmer for a lot longer than that first read, because of course I read it all in one sitting, so like that obviously had me like, oof, that was amazing. But after sitting back and just analyzing everything that I read, I obviously realized that maybe I did overhype it a little bit. It's still a really good book, but I think now I wouldn't have given it a 5 out of 5 stars. And the book I'm talking about is The Gilded Ones, which is the first book. I wouldn't have given it 5 stars. I would have gave it like 4 or 3.5. Either way, Namina Forna definitely has a way of writing that I like, but there are some things that were underdeveloped that I did realize afterwards. Still, I am very excited to read more on Deka and her world and all of these characters that I love who are either death streaks or not death streaks, but I'm not going to give that away. So I'm excited to see what's in store for her next as she goes on this quest. Okay, this one is going to be surprising because I did have a lot of critiques for the first book by this author. However, I do love the way this author writes, and there's a lot of commendable things that I love about the first book. However, the first book I read by this author, I did read it in a rush, and maybe if I give that first book another try, maybe I'll like it. So this author I'm talking about is Jennifer Saint, and Jennifer Saint is coming out with another book called Elektra, which is dropping on April 28th, 2022. So basically we follow young Elektra as she tells us about her world and her family who have been tainted by vengeance in their bloodline. This takes place in Paris, where, you know, the whole story of Helen of Troy is, and this is Electra's family. And so we're going to hear about the story of Helen of Troy and all of that from Electra's perspective. That sounds amazing. So I'm excited to see how Jennifer Saint is going to take that on. So looking forward to that. And as I said, I did give a lot of critiques to Ariadne. However, I didn't hate the book. It wasn't the worst book I read that month or that year. However, I just didn't like it as much as I liked other books. I mean, obviously. However, as I said, I do think if I reread the book, I probably will like it a little bit more. Moving on. The next book is Book of Night by Holly Black, which is coming out May 3rd, 2022. So in this book, we follow Charlie, who is this like con artist bartender within this like secret society of like shadowy thieves. And everybody's trying to control the shadow realm or the shadow world. But Charlie is willing to save the world from these evil people. So Charlie is thrown into all of this chaos, and she ends up going up against her sister and all of these crazy and evil people in order to save the world from being controlled. This book has been compared to The Night Circus and Ninth House. I have not read Ninth House. However, The Night Circus, I really love that book, and I read that literally last year. And so if it's being compared to that, I'm excited to see what Holly Black has to give, because I really, really love The Night Circus. So hopefully this book is going to be really, really good. It sounds amazing. I really love a good dark fantasy. So I'm excited to see what Holly Black has to give. And I'm already reading a couple of Holly Black's books right now, currently on The Wicked King. So I'm excited to see how this is going to differ from those books, due to the fact that this is new adult and those are YA fantasy. So excited. Holly Black obviously has this way of writing really good fantasy, so I'm wondering how that's going to like translate into new adult. Like, is it gonna be even more extremely like good because it's new adult, or will it be on the same level as her YA pieces? That's something I'm excited to see. Either way, I love seeing authors shift from YA to new adult, so I'm excited to see what Holly Black has to give. And then the next book on the list is All Signs Point to Yes by Cam Montgomery. And I'm not going to give a synopsis for this due to the fact that this is a combined book of contemporary romance pieces designated to certain star signs. And Cam Montgomery is not the only author in this book. There are various authors, various POC authors who have stories within this book. So this is a bunch of contemporary romance pieces that are queer, that are designated to certain star signs, and then yeah, it's just all in one book. So yeah, I'm not gonna give a synopsis for that because I don't know what stories are in that, and there really isn't a synopsis. It's just summed up to what I said a couple minutes ago. And this is coming out May 31st, 2022. So the next book is Empress Crowned in Red by C8annon Smart, coming out June 7th, 2022. And I'm sure you all are surprised for me to like literally say this book is on my most anticipated, due to the fact that I did give the first book in this either series or duology 3-star. And I had a lot of critiques for it. However, I am excited to see if there's going to be a slight difference in this book compared to the first book. And I definitely want to catch up with a lot of the characters from the first book and see how they're doing and what's happening in the world now. And basically, we follow the same characters as there is a shift in society because the Doyin is dead. And so now there is a new Doyin on the throne, which is the daughter. There is still that Obia on the run who was battling with her, and there's still those pirates who are on land now and not in the water. So there's a lot of new aspects, and I can't wait to see how like the world looks now after all of that tragedy that happened in the first book. Next up is For the Throne by Hannah Whitten, which is coming out June 9th, 2022. And this is a follow-up to For the Wolf by Hannah Whitten, obviously. So basically, in the second book following For the Wolf, we follow Neve, and she's stuck in the Shadowlands, which is like the reverse of the kingdom that's outside of the Shadowlands, where Red is with the wolf. So yeah, we follow her, and she's stuck in the Shadowlands with the old kings, and one of those kings is Solomir, which is who Red and the wolf were trying to defeat in the first book. But it turns out, as Neve is in the Shadowlands, she comes to learn that Solomir is actually not as evil as he's said to be, and they both join together to try to save the non-Shadowland area, which is the outside kingdom, from the inverted kingdom that is trying to take over the place where Red and the wolf is. Sounds amazing. I absolutely love For the Wolf. It's such an amazing love story in the first book, and now to get more into the action, I'm very excited to see where that's going to go. Definitely found Neve annoying in the first book, but I'm excited to see how Hannah Whitten is going to write about her in this one, now that she has a lot more knowledge than she did in the first, and she's not as, you know, susceptible to the poison of the minds around her, and she's not as naive as she was before. So I'm excited to see how she's going to change. And I love Hannah Whitten. I follow Hannah Whitten on Bookstagram. Amazing content. It's giving like fairy witch woods vibes, and I'm obsessed with Hannah Whitten's content. And obviously Hannah Whitten's lifestyle translates into For the Wolf. It's like literally looking at the book on Hannah Whitten's Bookstagram. It's crazy. I absolutely love Hannah Whitten's feed. It's like, it's really cool. I love it. It's a vibe. Very aesthetically pleasing. Okay, the next book is Violet Maid of Thorns by Gina Chen, which is coming out July 26, 2022. And this is a fantasy romance. We follow this Shinigami as she tries to save her world and her family from these people who are after her because her power is growing too much. But we follow her throughout these trips where she tries to avoid getting caught, but also protecting her land at the same time. And as her power continues to grow, the more threats she has on her back. And this just sounds like everything and anything. It sounds really good. Like, I love a good story that has fantasy and romance like mixed in together. So I'm excited to see where this is gonna go. Yeah, the synopsis didn't really go into depth about the romance part, but still I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out. Next up is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, which is coming out August 23rd, 2022. And this is the follow-up to Love Hypothesis, which I absolutely love. Love Hypothesis. I think that since this is a fanfic, it was actually pretty good. And even if it was based off of Adam Driver, I could barely even keep that fact in my head for the most part. I was just in love with Adam as a character, even if he is based off of somebody and off of a character. I literally didn't really care for that part. I was just there for Adam. I just love his character. I love him and Olive together. So that was so cute. Okay, editing Najia here, and I'm just here to correct something that I messed up on while recording this video. So basically, the book that I messed up on was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, which is the follow-up to the Love Hypothesis. In this book, we follow B and Levi, which are two very career-driven characters in this book, but Levi definitely has said that he is open to love and that he's attracted to B. But B is definitely trying to focus on her education because she has a whole internship with NASA. But Levi definitely has been flirting, and B has assumed that Levi has taken a lot of her equipment, but she might be right. So I like how Ali Hazelwood has switched around the roles this time, because Adam last time was a lot more like the cold and rigid one, very career focused, not really open to love, while Olive was more like the open yet still career driven one. But now that's like Levi's role. Levi's like Olive and B is like Adam, but not as cold, because she doesn't sound as cold as Adam. But yeah, that's a nice little switch of roles, and I'm excited to see what Ali Hazelwood has to say. Okay, the second to last book is Kingdom of the Feared by Kerri Maniscalco, which is coming out September 27, 2022. And this is probably the third and last book, or the continuation of a series for the Kingdom of the Wicked series. Honestly, I'm excited to see what this is about. I have not read Kingdom of the Wicked yet. I did get the book and I have it, so I can't wait to read that. But once I catch up, I'm excited to see what this book is going to be about. So in the first two books in this series or trilogy, we follow Amelia, who is trying to avenge her sister after she missed one family dinner and ended up finding her sister's body. Now, as she follows this lead in Kingdom of the Wicked, she ends up in this other realm where she meets this man named Wrath, who is not really a man, who is a demon, and while avenging her sister, she ends up falling in love with Wrath, and that's how that book goes. So as she's still trying to find her sister's killer, she is stuck in this love triangle, two princes, she's in hell, and it's a lot of craziness. So I'm excited to see what Kerri Maniscalco has to say in the third book, which is said to be the third and final book in this planned trilogy. There isn't a blurb out yet, so when that comes, I'm excited to hear more details about what's gonna go down in the third book. However, judging from the synopsis for the first and the second book, I'm very excited to see how this storyline is going to conclude and if Amelia is ever going to find out who killed her sister. And then the final book on my list of most anticipated books is The American Roommate Exchange by Elena Armas. And oh my gosh, I'm excited because this follows Rosie, who is Catalina's friend in the first book, which is The Spanish Love Deception. So this book is going to be a companion, I don't know if it's a series or not, but I'm gonna say a companion novel to The Spanish Love Deception. And literally, I'm very excited. In this book, we follow Rosie's story as she tries not to fall in love with her roommate. It's said to be a slow burn, multicultural romance taking place between two roommates. And judging from the little spoilers that Elena Armas is giving on her various social medias, it sounds like it's going to be he's obsessed with her, but she's not obsessed with him yet. Kind of thing. And we definitely got something similar to that in The Spanish Love Deception. So if this is another Aaron Blackford moment with some slight tweaks, I'm here for it because I'm so excited and I love Aaron Blackford, and Elena Armas has me hooked with her writing and the way she talks about romance. I love it, so I'm excited to see how she's going to do it again in this book. All right, that is all the books that I have on my list of most anticipated books for this year. I'm so excited to get to a lot of them. I'm very, very excited for Book of Night, and I'm very, very excited for The American Roommate Experiment. I'm also equally excited for All My Rage. So I can't wait to see what is in store for this reading year. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I have all my social media links down below: Instagram, Storygraph, Goodreads, my Bookstagram. I also have my Amazon wish list if you want to support my channel. I have links down below to get more information on POC movements and the aspects of that. And I also have links down below to support the COVID crisis in Vietnam and India. Please like, comment, and subscribe again, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.